Winston Churchill was one of the most important figures of the 20th century. He served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1945 and 1951 to 1955. Churchill was a soldier, historian, orator, writer, and statesman. He is best known for his leadership of the United Kingdom during World War II. Churchill was born into an aristocratic family in 1874 at Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire. He attended prestigious schools including Harrow and Sandhurst. He began his military career in 1895 by joining the British Army. Churchill distinguished himself at various frontier expeditions in British India and Sudan. He resigned his army commission in 1899 to pursue a career in politics. Churchill's political career began when he was elected to the House of Commons as a Conservative in 1900. However, he later crossed the floor and joined the Liberal Party in 1904. As Home Secretary in 1910, he pushed several reforms, including establishing the first official domestic police force. During World War I, Churchill held several important positions such as First Lord of the Admiralty and Minister of Munitions. However, he came under criticism for the Gallipoli campaign and resigned from government in 1915. After the war, Churchill rejoined the Conservative Party and served as Chancellor of the Exchequer from 1924 to 1929. He introduced important monetary reforms, including returning Britain to the gold standard. Churchill warned against rising German nationalism in the 1930s, but went ignored. He criticized Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain's appeasement policy towards Hitler as misguided. This stance made him unpopular at the time, but history would prove Churchill correct. When World War II broke out in 1939, Churchill was reappointed First Lord of the Admiralty. After Norway's defeat in 1940, Chamberlain resigned and Churchill replaced him as Prime Minister. Now leading a national unity government, Churchill provided inspiration for the British people enduring the Blitz. His speeches and radio broadcasts boosted morale with defiant and determined messages, such as vowing to fight the Nazis on the beaches, landing grounds, in the fields, in the streets, and in the hills. During the war, Churchill supervised complex military campaigns and conferences with Allied leaders Franklin Roosevelt and Joseph Stalin. His calm and resolute leadership was critical to Britain surviving the threat of invasion. Under Churchill's direction, Britain slowly turned the tide of war through victories in North Africa and against German submarines in the Battle of the Atlantic. His commitment to supporting oppressed people also ensured the war aims included dismantling European empires and upholding the principles of self-determination. At the 1943 Casablanca Conference and the Tehran Conference later that year, Churchill began planning for the post-war world with Roosevelt and Stalin. After D-Day in 1944 and the Allied invasion of Normandy, Churchill helped direct the final push that defeated Nazi Germany in 1945. He was present at Germany's surrender in Reims, France. Churchill then attended the Yalta and Potsdam conferences to negotiate post-war arrangements with the Soviet Union, such as the contours of a liberated Europe. After the Labour Party's surprise victory in 1945 elections, Churchill again became the leader of the opposition. However, the Conservatives returned to power in 1951 and Churchill again assumed the post of Prime Minister, now as an elder statesman at the age of 77. His second term was largely focused on international affairs like the escalating Cold War. He famously coined the term Iron Curtain in 1946 to describe the boundary dividing free Europe from the communist bloc. Churchill suffered a severe stroke in 1953 but remained actively involved in politics for 2 more years until resigning in 1955 at the age of 81. He published his extensive war memoirs, helping secure the 1953 Nobel Prize in Literature. Winston Churchill passed away on January 24, 1965 at the age of 90, bringing to a close a remarkable life of leadership, oratory, and service to the United Kingdom and Western democracies during the 20th century. Churchill's statesmanship, resolve in the face of adversity, and stirring messages of defiance against tyranny ensured his place as one of the most influential figures in modern history.